In the first video in this playlist, we walked through the data set just to give you a sense of it. Again, remember that it's all fake data built by Snowfakery. Now we're going to do is we're going to go here to Setup and go to Setup. And then when we get that, we find that, look at that right there, Einstein prediction builder. I knew we were wanting to do. So I'm going to click Get Started, but you can also do Einstein prediction builder here. And we can practice, or we can say, no, we want to do is review it. So let's go on ahead and review the terms. And it's going to say, give it a try and see what you can do with it. And we're going to say, I'm authorized by my company to accept. And make sure you're authorized. But you could read through it. Okay, so try Einstein. So to try Einstein, it says, get your first 2 predictions at no cost. Are you ready to do? Let's get your first one. Okay, so we're going to say, yeah, let's get started. And the trailhead's actually quite good. So they're setting it up. So after about 2 minutes, it came back and it says you're using the Try Einstein version. You're ready to upgrade. Well, right now we're going to try it and see how it works. So we're going to say the status is on. We're going to do a prediction. No predictions yet, so this is a new prediction. So this one I'm going to name Workforce Development Program Completion. I'm going to do a save. Let me just go down and make sure there's anything else down here. So this is just an API, so we're going to click it. And what we're predicting here is program completion. What do you want to predict? And so just so we go back to it real quick, we're predicting this right here, which is a completed workforce development program. Call that a checkbox, yes, no. And we're going to go Save and Next. And next it asks which object. This is pretty easy because we're looking at contact. So I'm going to type in contact, not contract. And we're going to roll down and we're going to say that's right, Save and Next. And now it's asking which segment. And do we want to trim this thing down? Well, luckily I'm dealing in a sandbox, so I don't have to worry about that. So we're going to say, we're going to go with all, and we're going to say Next. And it's going to say, what example records do you want to give? And the example records, again, looking back at the data set, we want to look at those that are completed. So workforce development status equals completed. And then which records do we want as no? Is we want that meet all the conditions. So we want status again. So we're going to type in workforce development program status equals, in this case we want with true because they're the ones that are the no outcomes. Going to save and next. And now we're looking at an included field. Now with this we want basically is obviously the completion date, because they're not going to know that if they're not yet part of it. Now there's an awful lot of other stuff that we could pull off of this too, but I'm going to just do Save and Next for now, but we could reduce the logic because there's a lot of blank fields because this is just a sandbox. Now here it's asking, and you can go back to any of these. So if we want to go back to our example records, you can click here and it'll show you what you've got. And what you can see is that it did calculate that we have 435 yeses. That's here. And if we scroll down, it says we have 243 records. And if we look out at our summary totals again, 435, 243. So it did find all the records, so that's a really good thing. But so we're able to go back. So we can go back anywhere we need to. We're going to go back now to our records to predict. And what it's saying here is example records, not selected, whatever. Here's your predict on all records that aren't example records. And they're talking about 94 records. Again, go back and take a look. That's our active total. So we know that's actually a pretty good number. So it worked. All right, so next we're going to say next. And it's going to say, what do you want to build for a score field? and save and next. And you can see over here in the outline, a note that we can also close this thing if we needed to, but it's not bad to have it, especially if you've got enough room on your screen. And so what I've got is you're almost done. So let's take a look. So what it's doing is it's going to review the scorecard to summarize the score field. If you're not happy, you can change your inputs with the build. But in the meantime, what I've got is a name and examples and included, and it's all set. And so at this point, let's just see what let's just click the data checker to see. It's going to tell here that we're required to have 400 contacts. We've got 700. We're required 400 examples. We have 600. We need 100 each of our yeses and nos, and we need at least one record, and we have 94. So we're in pretty good shape. Again, it's all synthetic, kind of fake data, so that's the good news. So now we're going to run a build, and let's see what happens. And it says it can take half an hour to 24 to build. So let's see. So I'm going to say let's build it, and I'll let you know how long it takes to run. After no change, I return to the setup Einstein prediction builder, and what we find is the workforce development program, great scorecard, and so what we're able to do is to click here and go to view the scorecard. And let's pull this apart in the next video, but the good news is that we're talking about 90%. So there's lots of good things that we can talk about here. Critical thinking, interesting. Let's work through the data in the next video. Thanks for watching, and glad we made some progress.